from the threats of our international adversaries, from countries of concern that have been listed in Florida statute, from people that want to do us harm, namely China. Today, we are announcing that we are repurposing resources within the Office of Attorney General, existing staff, to create a new unit. We've had so much work as we've been investigating companies that we believe are sharing personal data and information with China, with the CCP, and even with the Chinese military. This work has reached a level where we realize we need to have people dedicated to it full time. So this morning we're announcing we're launching the Consumer Harm from International Nefarious Actors Prevention Unit, also known as the China Prevention Unit. This unit will work full-time to investigate companies in all industries, but we see healthcare as a primary industry right now where personal health data, the most sensitive of human data, is being shared with an enemy that wants to do us harm. Over the past 5-6 months, we've already been very active in this area. We launched an investigation into Lorex, you may remember. This is a ring camera, nanny camera, baby camera company that we believe was funneling personal data, imagery, to China. Again, the most sensitive of data when you're at home with your family, taking care, monitoring a baby. That is a tremendous threat to our national security. We've gone into an investigation into Contech for allegedly routing sensitive patient monitoring data through Chinese servers, TP-Link for foreign manufactured networking equipment and data security risks. We recently recovered over $23,000 stolen by a Chinese national from an active duty U.S. service member. We recently seized over $1.5 million in cryptocurrency stolen from a Floridian by a Chinese national. So this China Prevention Unit is going to be hard charging, operating on full cylinders. We will be sending a letter today to numerous Chinese companies or Chinese-connected companies in the health tech space, again, to protect health data of Americans. We will continue to launch subpoenas where necessary, and we will bring civil and criminal actions where appropriate under Florida law. Just recently, we had a great success at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals upholding Florida's prohibition on Chinese land purchasing here in Florida. We cannot have a foreign enemy, an adversary, owning our farmland, the breadbasket of our state. We cannot have them owning sensitive land near military bases. So we knew we would get a challenge, and we were happy to defend successfully that law. The governor, under his leadership, we've worked hard to eliminate any state of Florida reliance, government reliance on technology, computers, network systems that could expose us to a threat and data going abroad to our enemies. We'll continue working hard every day. Florida will not be a playground for our enemies to come in and do us harm. The groups here behind me have been wonderful partners, leading think and policy institutes that have certainly helped us flag ideas and provide ideas to us as we're looking to make Florida the safest state in the country to raise a family. And I want to thank law enforcement. Today, more than ever, our state law enforcement entity, FDLE, and our highway patrol, our sheriffs and local police, they're having to take on more responsibilities that are atypical given what they've historically done. As we've seen the technology in the world advance and expose us to further danger, they've had to constantly innovate, increase their resources, their capabilities to stay one step ahead of those that want to hurt us. So thanks for being here as we launch the China unit this morning. I think this is a great model for the nation. I hope other states will follow. We've got to support the federal government everywhere we can when it comes to protecting our national security. So with that, I will turn it over to Ambassador.
Thank you, General Uthmeier. My name is Kelley Currie, and I have spent 3 decades working on U.S. foreign policy, primarily on U.S.-China policy, and on trying to help our country defend itself against what has become the pacing threat for the United States and a near peer or at least and possibly peer adversary of the United States. I have been amazed in my work with State Armor as an advisor to see what the states have done to help take what has become what was the soft underbelly of our society and our federal system and start to build resilience there. And Florida has been at the vanguard of this process over the past few years. Both Attorney General Uthmeier and Governor DeSantis and the legislature, they all work together on this. Right now, there's an omnibus bill moving through the Florida legislature that will help to backstop some of the and fill some of the gaps that are existing in terms of fighting foreign adversaries. And the governor continues to move forward with executive actions to do this as well. Today's announcement is the first in the country of its kind where you have a dedicated unit to protect Floridians and the people who reside and work and do business in the state from this threat. It is an incredible accomplishment to see all cylinders firing, as the Attorney General said. When the state works in this way and works in partnership with the federal government, this is how we build resilience. This is how we have a true whole of society effort to prepare for and deter, most importantly, deter the threat that we are living with. So I want to extend my congratulations to the people of Florida for having such amazing leaders who are taking such incredible steps to drive forward and protect this state and make you continue to be the vanguard. The kinds of activities that the Attorney General talked about, the scams that defraud Florida citizens. This is a $50 billion a year global industry that is primarily run on a backbone of Chinese transnational criminal organizations that are connected to the Chinese Communist Party state. This is a real threat. Most of that is connected also to money laundering for drug cartels and for other illicit activities, human trafficking, animal trafficking, trafficking in prohibited items. All of these things tie together and they connect back to the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party has found ways to instrumentalize and weaponize criminal activity and use it to undermine our society. So the steps that the Attorney General's office is taking today are absolutely essential, and we look forward to seeing this as a model for other states around the country to pick up and run with. Thank you, Attorney General Uthmeier, and thank you, the people of Florida, for taking this important step.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you. My name is Joe Gebbia. I am the founder and CEO of State Shield, and our purpose is to educate the states, the governors, the legislators, AGs, any constitutionally elected office, and propose legislation that will help protect America. First, I want to just start by saying congratulations. This is another monumental move, and it shows the advancement that our government is making to address what has been a serious threat. And it comes on the heels of what it proves that the states are at the forefront in helping to protect our national security. We saw this during COVID. We saw it most here in the state of Florida. Governor DeSantis was an outstanding governor when it came to addressing the threats. He didn't hold back. He set a pace for that just resonated across the country. And it was difficult for the first 4 years because we actually were forced as State Shield to have to challenge the administration at that time on policies that you would have thought we wouldn't have had to have challenged. Now, fast forward, we have President Trump in office, and there's been a radical change in the priorities and what it takes to protect our national security. We're so thankful for him for the leadership that he's brought. He has taken so much off of our plate and what we have to do to fight that we went from being defensive into being offensive. So the Attorney General asked me to personalize this and tell you why I got into this, and it was basically because of my grandchildren. I watched in 2020 when the search engines were denying us our freedom of speech, and it was continuous, and nobody was reacting to it. Nobody was fighting it. And then when I heard the report that Mark Zuckerberg had hired 5 nationalist Chinese to come in and run his censoring center, I really got alarmed and I was afraid that my grandchildren would not know the America that I knew. So I set out learning about this and being prepared when we opened up again, when I would go to my meetings at the different government meetings. I wanted to be able to talk intelligently about what was going on, what the threat was, and what we need to be doing as a country and through the states. And I have to just tell you, some real heroes have surfaced during that, and it was the legislatures, it was the governors, and it was the AGs. Boy, did they step up to the plate to pass bills. Post-COVID, we woke up as a country. We started waking up when we saw all of our rights being denied, and then when we saw what was going on with the educational system. That was a big awakening. The moms woke up, and it spread from there. When you really get into it and you look at what's happening on an international scale, China is behind the majority of the problems that were happening. So we obviously focused on China, and we've been very successful in passing probably a total of 40 bills to date. And this year alone, we'll probably pass 40 to 50 bills in about 17 states where we are currently directly active. I always start these conversations off by making a declarative statement. And here it is. China is at war with the United States. And if you don't accept that premise, then you're missing the whole point. You've heard some of the issues here today about what's being addressed by the Attorney General and by the Ambassador. And when you talk about medical devices, for example, well, why would they want our medical devices? Okay, so this may sound a little wild, but they have the ability to create viruses based upon certain DNA. They're working on that. We know they're working on that. And one of the categories they're working on is how to disrupt the biological ability for women to get pregnant. Think about that. I mean, it sounds absurd, but if you don't think in those terms about how far off they can go, then you're missing the point. This started in 1949 when Mao Zedong started the Communist China with the plan to bring China back to its original predominance in the Pacific, at least, as being the hegemonic power, which is what we are, the United States is now. And they have stated by the year 2049, they want to be the hegemonic power in the world. Proof of that is somewhat in two statements. When Xi Jinping came over to the United States in 2013, at the beginning of Obama's second administration, at the end, they stood at a podium like this, and Xi Jinping says, "We believe in China that there's room for two superpowers in the Pacific." And let's fast forward December 2023, San Francisco, when Biden finally was able to get Xi Jinping to have a conversation with him, and they met in San Francisco. And at the end of it, Xi Jinping stood at the podium and said, "We in China believe that there's room for two superpowers in the world." Well, what happened? From 2013 to 2023, they built their military in the Pacific. They outbuilt us in ships. They outbuilt us in nuclear. They were doing everything they could. They stole $26 trillion of IP from the United States. No regard for our laws, no regard for patents. They only do what's in their best interest. And the only way we are going to challenge this and challenge this successfully is if we make it a team effort. Unfortunately, the states had to bear the burden of this during early COVID because we weren't getting assistance from the administration. And a key point was the border. And what happened at that border? The cartels came over. Why did they come over? Because China supplies them with fentanyl. And now they're set up in the United States for their operation. Why is this happening? Because China is committed to destroying us as a country. They want to break apart our society, our fabric, our life, and they do it in extremely devious ways. Fentanyl is a part of that. And every time you listen to the conversations that go on between presidents, Xi Jinping always says, well, yeah, sure, we're going to address the fentanyl problem sourcing out of China. And it never changes. It's part of their purpose of why they're doing it. They're very, very deceptive. They've been very, very good at what they do, but we're waking up. So in conclusion, I could go on forever. I could put you through one of my seminars. We don't have time for that now. But there is good news. And part of the waking up is when we have acts like this from our Attorney General, he takes it to the next level. And this is what has to happen, and it's going to have to happen more. You're going to be the example for a lot of other Attorney Generals. We're going to make sure that happens. And we have Americans stepping up to the plate now, doing things like creating recycling centers that can scrap metal to the nth degree, copper, steel, aluminum, through a company called Cartigen. And then we're starting a metal reserve. We have penicillin coming back to be manufactured in the United States, which I'm very, very proud to tell you. And right now we get 100% of our penicillin from China, 90%, about 10% from India. So we're dependent. Besides that, they control our rare earth minerals. they have us over a barrel. You know, if anything ever happened kinetically in Taiwan and there was a war and the trade lanes were cut off, what would happen? We wouldn't be able to survive. We would be at high risk. So the reshoring of manufacturing, which is one of President Trump's prime strategies, is working. It's at its inception. I think we're going to see a tremendous improvement as we go through time. But there's always going to be a challenge. You build a better mousetrap, you get a smarter mouse, and that's China. So by doing divisions of what the AG wants to set up here, ensures that we're always on top of the situation. Well, I want to thank you for this time to give this speak. We at State Shield are honored to be a part of this with you. We're looking to help you in any way we can, and we're here for you when you need us. So congratulations.
Good morning. My name is Mark Brutnell. I'm an FDLE Special Agent in charge. On behalf of Commissioner Mark Glass, Attorney General, I just want to say thank you for your continued support and partnership. Here we are again, Florida, leading the charge with innovative and proactive initiatives, just like we do all the time. The Attorney General's new unit sends a strong message to foreign entities that Florida takes these crimes seriously. Protecting Florida's data is no longer just a cybersecurity issue, it's a core public safety responsibility. Your data is exactly that. It's your data. You own it. The safety of our citizens, our institutions, and our state depends on keeping their personal information out of the hands of foreign adversaries. When foreign actors steal your personal information, the impact reaches far beyond individual victims. These breaches can potentially disrupt organizations and strain critical systems and resources, which is why it's paramount safeguarding Floridians' data remains an essential part of protecting our state. By launching this unit with the vision of the AG, he's making it clear that victims of these crimes deserve answers and that our agencies will continue to work together. So what are we doing from a law enforcement perspective? FDLE continues to use every resource at our disposal to prevent these schemes and protect our citizens. So in 2022, FDLE created a cyber and cryptocurrency fraud division called the Cyber Fraud Analytics Support Team to strengthen our partnership with the Attorney General's Office with their Cyber Fraud Enforcement Unit to better protect Floridians and our visitors. Since the inception, back in 2022, this team of very talented investigators has conducted over 600 cryptocurrency traces, assisting more than 70 law enforcement agencies in Florida and seizing upwards of $17 million. So the public safety aspect of this, the messaging for the public out there, how can I protect myself? One of the most effective ways to fight crime is through awareness. So a few weeks ago, we recognized National Data Privacy Week, and in October, we're going to be recognizing Cybersecurity Awareness Month. These campaigns are ways to raise the public's awareness that these bad actors are out there, and they never stop. They are waiting for the next victim to make a small mistake. So just follow some simple data privacy and cybersecurity suggestions, and you cannot be touched, hopefully. One of the best ways to do that is to go to a website we have. It's called secureflorida.org, and that will give you the 101 of how to keep all your devices safe, any of your home entertainment stuff safe, and also how to manage the world of cryptocurrency. That is it's a new frontier for fraudsters, and FDLE is out there, and we are in that frontier. And it's, as the man before me said, it's very, very dangerous as to what we're challenged with, but I feel confident with units like this and with the AG's leadership and the partnerships in Florida that we will be okay, and we will continue to move forward and put the bad actors in jail. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you to Mark. Thanks to Joe and Ambassador for being here, the work you guys do, how seriously you take this mission. I think Joe said it well. We're doing this for our kids and grandkids. We've got a responsibility to leave this country better than we found it. I think today's announcement, this new unit, the great work that our attorneys in the Office of Attorney General will do, will go a great ways towards protecting our little ones. I do want to thank the legislature. Representative Jenna Persons-Malika has been working hard on legislation to further beef up our security and protect against foreign threats. I know they've got some good work going that hopefully will reach a successful conclusion here in the next 4 or 5 weeks. And I want to thank all of our law enforcement and attorneys that fight the good fight every day. I know it's a little toasty in here, so hopefully we won't have too many press questions, but I think we've got time for a couple. Yes, ma'am.
One of the companies you mentioned here is Shein. Obviously, this is a very popular fast fashion website used by millions, if not billions, of people. Are you urging Floridians, Americans, not to purchase from the company?
I certainly wouldn't right now. We have grave concerns over the data privacy or lack thereof. We will be investigating and hope to have, some conclusions and, legal finalities in the coming weeks ahead. We'll be sending some love letters to a large number of health tech companies today that we believe have issues. We're asking them to, provide information, show how they're complying with Florida's data privacy and consumer protection laws. If we don't have cooperation, we'll move the next step, and we'll have some subpoenas going out the door rather quickly. Yes, ma'am.
Is this unit in motion right now? Is it investigated currently?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. The question is it going now? It was kind of going before it existed, and that's where we realized we need to actually create the institution here so that, we've got people that can do this full time. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
secureflorida.org.
You got that right, I hope. You're always afraid when you give out a website. It's like, man, I hope I said that right. Otherwise, everybody's going to the wrong one. Yes, ma'am.
In the instance of Ring cameras, as a consumer, I would be scared to know that information is going to China. What do you need from Floridians? If they get hacked, if they see something interesting going on, do we contact your office? How do we, as a state, move forward in helping in this investigation?
Yeah, contact our office or FDLE as he's listed. If you're aware of a hacking incident, we've been seizing millions of dollars of crypto when we find out about it. But the reality is, I think a lot of data is going out the door to our enemies, and people know nothing about it. When you have a doorbell Ring camera, God forbid, a baby nanny cam, your expectation is that footage that you're seeing where you're watching your baby crawl around or you're, watching your baby sleep, your expectation is that's not going anywhere. That's certainly not going to the Chinese military. So that is wrong. It's got to stop. But at the very least, Americans, Floridians have to be put on notice. There has to be transparency that if there is some sort of ownership deal or a handling or transmission of data overseas that could get into the wrong hands, people need to know that so that they can make their choices, when they go to purchase things at the shelves. Yes, ma'am.
You talked a little bit about the intention behind obtaining data from medical devices. Do you know what the intention is behind obtaining data from some of these other companies like Lorac, Shein, other data that might not be related to medical information?
Well, gathering data on biometric, biographical, personal trends, behaviors, you can quickly think of what motivations might be. Certainly nobody's admitted anything, in writing yet, but we have to assume the worst. It's been said out of the gate. This is warfare. It is. It comes in different ways. It can be fentanyl at the border rather than planes in the sky. And I do have to point out, since the border was shut down, when I took office about a year ago, traveling around the state, law enforcement leaders were telling me fentanyl is the new warfare. We can't do anything about it. It's getting into communities and families that are not drug users. It's getting into basic marijuana and, other products, and it's killing people in the smallest of amounts. Fentanyl's plummeting right now. It is dropping. We're getting reports from all over the state that where we were seeing these horrific fentanyl deaths, that's not happening anymore. I think that shows how important it was to shut down the border, bring back American sovereignty, and, protect our families. Now, we do have meth on the rise, which, we can look at reasons why that's happening. But there's always going to be evil. We're always going to be working hard to combat it. Anybody else? Yes.
One last question that's unrelated, if you're willing to take it.
Sure.
Recently in Florida, we've seen the suspension and potential revocation of at least 2 healthcare worker licenses based on some really politically charged comments they made online. How do you respond to critics that might fear government stepping in is a violation of free speech?
Yeah, this is not a free speech issue. If you are a hospital delivery nurse and you are saying that you hope somebody gets ripped open in half when giving childbirth because of her partisanship or government work, that's not free speech. That shows you should be nowhere near a patient. And we've seen a couple of those occasions. Those people have already lost their licenses. Again, you can have whatever partisanship you want. You have free speech. But when you're talking about harm to patients in the very line of work where you have a medical license, that's dangerous. That exposes people to risk, and we're not going to have that in Florida. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.